Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. It is 3 p.m. Eastern Time. This session will be recorded, and what we'll plan to do is have this recording of this introductory session hosted here right within StreamYard. We also are live streaming this session on YouTube as well. And in addition to that, you can feel free to reach out to us at WeVideo at success at wevideo.com. So, since it is 3:01 Eastern Time, we will give everybody like 2 minutes to hop in, and then we'll get started around 3:03, 3:04. So, if you need to run to the bathroom, if you need to get water, or coffee, you can go do that, and we'll get started in just a few moments. All right. So while we are waiting on everyone to join us, whether you will be watching this live or watching the recording later, we will begin today's session by just introducing ourselves. So, if you wouldn't mind letting us know in the chat what your experience is with PlayPosit, if you're a new user, an experienced user, if I support you as your customer success manager. I'm so excited that you're here and joining us. And then also, in the chat, you can let us know where you're joining us from, what institution, or where you're located internationally. Hi, Jennifer. Thanks so much for letting me know that. Sarwar, I see you're from FIU. That's awesome. I support FIU. Also, Georgia State University. I work pretty closely with the team there, and also UAB. Awesome. Yeah, this is good. Thank you for letting us know where you're joining from. Also, letting me know what your experience level is. That will help me as I'm giving you information today, um, and curating the best session to meet your needs. So, knowing kind of where we're starting will be super helpful. Okay, so since this will be recorded, we'll go ahead and get started. Um, Thank you to everyone that is introducing yourself in the chat. And thank you for joining us today, whether you're joining us from Alabama, SDSU, ICU, California, Texas Historical Commission. Thank you for joining. Okay, so I am going to go ahead and get started. And if we have anybody else join, or if you need to drop, just as a reminder, the session will be hosted here in StreamYard, also on YouTube. Also, please feel free to reach out to us at the email that's located on the resource guide. I am going to go ahead and post one more time in the chat a resource guide that we'll be using for today's session. Just so you know, if you are inexperienced and you would consider yourself like brand new or having used PlayPosit in the past but maybe needing a refresher, this is going to be a really great session for you. Those of you that were expecting Taylor Ripley, one of our awesome implementation CSNs, she is not going to be leading the session today, but I am really excited to be here. My name is Madison Price. I am a customer success manager that works here at WeVideo slash PlayPosit. I am located in Charleston, South Carolina. And for those of you that I kind of briefly read through in the chat, I do support several of your institutions that you're joining us from. So I am happy to see some more users from those entities. I am a former classroom instructor, and that's kind of what led me to PlayPosit is the fact that I actually use PlayPosit in my classroom. I found it to be a very effective tool, and then made the transition here to support our districts and institutional partners several years ago. So I am a point person. This is my email. I'm not going to go through and let you know who each and every one of you who I support your institution and who I don't. But each of you, if you're joining us from an institution or a district that has a district or institutional license, you have an appointed customer success manager. So you can always reach out to us at the email that's on that resource guide, the success@playposit.org email, and we will help you get in touch with your customer success manager. All right, while we are here and taking a look at the document that I posted in the chat, this is going to be a document that will extend beyond today's session. So you will have access to the chat when you come back to this recording in StreamYard, but also just know that you can always email us or reach out to us, and we'll be happy to share this resource guide with you again. But it's going to have a lot of resources that you're going to want to take with you after our session today. So a couple of things that you'll find here, sample bulbs that you can copy into your PlayPosit account, a little word about the session that you're going to be hearing today. It is going to be LMS neutral, which means I'm not going to be walking through each and every LMS integration that our tool integrates with, essentially, each individual workflow. You'll see resources that support each of your learning management systems here. And if you are looking for more support around that particular workflow, just reach out. We're happy to help you. The customer success team does support more of the interworkings of the tool. So interactions, how we can help support the tool for you in your classrooms, in your lecture halls, in your courses. And then we have a wonderful technical support team that can be contacted at help@playposit.org, and myself and other WeVideo team members that are in the chat will drop in that help@playposit.org email in case you ever come across a technical issue that needs technical support. So if you do have questions that arise that are very, very specific, like technical in nature, you can reach out to that email. You'll find additional resources here that we'll walk through together, like our monitoring functionality that I hope that all of you will be able to at some point take advantage of. Also, you'll see that we have a number of asynchronous resources that you can use to support your learning. So you can visit our YouTube channel, customers only resource page, And then we also do have twice a week office hours that we host, 30-minute office hours twice a week. You can always hop on, talk to one of our instructional designers, and come with any questions that you have about the tool. So as you scroll down, you're just going to find more resources that are more step by step to walk you through the process that we're going to do live together today. So just know that this is a resource guide. It will be here when you return. For those of you that are watching the recording, it will also be here in the chat. All right, so we'll go ahead and get rocking and rolling. This is our agenda for today. This is a session that's meant for individuals, instructors that are trying to learn more about the foundational PlayPosit. So, what is PlayPosit? Why would you use it? And when would you use it? Because there are a number of different resources and use cases that I'm going to propose today. And I hope that you will find them inspiring for your individual classrooms and for your individual courses. All right, so we will go ahead and get started there. Also, hopefully that handout will support you if you're a little bit more advanced in your PlayPosit journey. You know a little bit more about the tool than an introductory level. Also, this will be a great recording or resource to propose to your coworkers or your colleagues that are looking to learn more about PlayPosit. So they can always come back and register for this session and rewatch it after we finish today. All right, so let's get started by just talking about what is PlayPosit. Also, before I get too ahead of myself, I do want to let you know that we are supporting you in the chat today, whether you're watching this live on YouTube or if you are in StreamYard with us right now. So that means that you can ask questions, and we have some instructional designers and WeVideo team members that will be here to answer your questions. So feel free to ask anything. I'm going to try to stop and answer as many questions as I can live, as long as they're on topic for what we're discussing. And yeah, so just feel free to utilize the chat as well. Okay, so what is PlayPosit? At its core, we are an instructional design studio, which means that you are going to launch into our tool through your learning management system, whether that be Canvas, Brightspace, D2L, Blackboard, and you are going to have access to either YouTube or Vimeo by default, no matter where you are, no matter what institution you are, no matter what level license you have. Or you may be an institution or district that has an integration with your private video host, like Panopto or Kaltura, Yuja, MediaSite. And so what you would build within PlayPosit are what we call interactive videos. So you're accessing your lecture content or you're accessing supplemental course content. You're pulling that into PlayPosit, and then with our software, you are adding interactions for your students. So if you are like me, I relied heavily on PlayPosit at times where I needed to be able to have student accountability for checks for understanding. I occasionally used it for more summative assessment. So actually asking questions that students knew were going to be, their answers were going to be utilized to assess their understanding of the video content or a larger concept. And then because of that integration with your LMS, whether that again be Canvas, Brightspace, whatever LMS it is that we have an integration with at your institution or district, we then are able to pass back a grade to your LMS gradebook. So you probably are thinking that it can be a very automated process. You can build in interactions that give in-time auto-graded experiences for the student so that you know what they understand immediately, they know what they misunderstood or what they do understand immediately, and then that score is automatically passed back to the Canvas Blackboard, LMS gradebook. However, the beauty behind PlayPosit is that we are a very granular, modular, flexible design studio. So you get to build these interactive videos to meet your pedagogical need, your teaching need, your assessment need. So if you want there to be auto graded experiences on top of that video content, um, then great. That grade will be passed back to the LMS gradebook. But if you're wanting to be more hands-on, you're wanting to give feedback, you're wanting to have a more manual experience, a manually graded experience, you have access to all of the students' data on the back end within PlayPosit, and you can manually assign scores and points to free response interactions or discussion interactions. Um, and then sync the grade to the LMS gradebook. So again, completely up to you what you're building within PlayPosit. This is just a sneak peek of what it looks like to be able to have that creative outlet or the design component built right within a video timeline. So here along the bottom, you're seeing that maybe the entirety of a video, but also one of the great components of PlayPosit is the ability to trim and crop. So if you need to shorten a lecture video, if you need to remove certain parts that are no longer relevant, if you're using YouTube or a supplemental video, you can also remove parts from that are irrelevant, those videos that are sometimes really, really long, and you just want to use a small snippet of the video, you can trim and crop that right within PlayPosit. So again, you're designing the experience that meets your needs, whether it be auto graded, manually graded. You're able to give auto generated feedback. And all of this is being built on top of the video content. So that means that while the student, you see these little dots along the bottom here of the timeline of the video, um, while the student is progressing through watching the video, they're being met with these interactions that you're creating, and therefore they're interacting and engaging with your video content at a higher rate. So their engagement levels are increased and their content digestion is exceptionally increased versus like maybe an old school or a more like throwback way of assessing students while they're watching video content, maybe watching on a smart board in the classroom, in the lecture hall, and then 30 minutes or an hour later, filling out some questions or checks for understanding after the fact. PlayPosit gives you the opportunity and the ability to be able to do it all in one space and simultaneously. So it's happening all at the same time for the student. So you're building out these checks for understanding or these interactions. You're not changing the video itself. Like everything that you do within our designer, even trimming and cropping, is forgivable. You're not changing the integrity of the video. You're basically creating overlays and creating an experience that you want to be forward facing for the student. This is a very, very pared down example, but what you're seeing here is the video plays on the left-hand side, the interaction appears, the student is then prompted to answer this very easy free response question. You'll also see that built into our designer are different elements like the rich text editor. The rich text editor, I think, is way, way, way underutilized compared to how powerful it is because students can actually voice record their response. They can submit images. So for art projects or using PlayPosit within spaces where there's not a traditional written answer, it's an option. PlayPosit is an option. Okay, so this is showing how you can voice record or the student can voice record in their for response interaction, and then submit that. And this could happen however many times throughout the timeline of the video that seems appropriate to you, and meets your learning needs or your learning outcome needs for the student. I don't think now would probably be a good time if you have any initial questions about the foundation of the platform. Please feel free to go ahead and drop those in the chat. Either myself or our WeVideo teammates that are supporting us will grab those questions in the chat. I just want to take this time while maybe we're waiting for um, some people on the call to ask questions to give some domain specific terminology. So I don't think that I've let it slip yet. Usually I do. But when you create a learning object within PlayPosit, so you have your video, you add your overlay of interactions, you link that as an assignment within your LMS. Your students are consuming that. They are in their own time watching the video, answering the interactions. That is what we call a bulb. So that is a word that was created by our two co-founders that are both former educators. They created PlayPosit in the classroom. So it is truly a platform built by educators for educators. So if you are thinking about how you may have gaps in your ability right now to have students completing learning activities that give them in time checks for what their level of understanding is. That's really where the name Bold came from, because their progress in their learning experience was illuminated by having immediate feedback from these checks for understanding. And then on the opposite end, giving instructors and teachers and educators the ability to understand students understanding, understand students understanding with immediate data. So being able to see not only an individual student's performance immediately while they're completing the self-paced bulb, but also doing that like live monitoring while the student is completing the assignment, and then comparing one student's experience or their level of understanding with their peers within the class. So that is a word that you probably did not know if you are new to PlayPosit completely before this session today. But bulb is going to be a very important word to it's going to be a very important word to follow and know as we move through our session today. Bulbs can be assigned in a couple of different ways. They can be self-paced assignments, which are asynchronous assignments within your LMS. So the student is going to the assignment and they're completing it on their own time, and they're able to move through the bulb at their own pace. And then you are able to see overall engagement time on individual interactions, on the whole bulb. And so there's a lot of accountability there. Additionally, there are a couple of applications that your institution or district may have opted in to purchase or include in their license. One would be our playlist application that allows for stacking of bulbs into a table of contents in a single iframe, and then that is assigned to the student in a singular experience. So they're able to walk through almost different modules, like a mini course of sorts of individual bulbs and resources. Playlists are like one of my favorite things that we can offer here at PlayPosit. Everyone has access to learner-made bulbs, which are individual student submissions of bulbs, bulb creation. Your institution may have peer review. That's something that students are creating their own bulbs, and then they are actually offering evaluation of each other's. And then you, as the instructor, have more of a facilitator role. And then another feature that is included in all licenses, no matter where or what you're joining us from, is our broadcast application. So, our broadcast application is taking a singular bulb that would be consumed asynchronously and making it a live experience. And the instructor is basically broadcasting the video content on a screen, maybe at the front of a lecture hall in a classroom, and then the student is using their device to answer the interactions in real time. Okay, and I do see a question, Darlene, can this work in Canvas? Yes. If PlayPosit is integrated in your Canvas instance, you're actually going to see today. I'm going to use Canvas as my model or my example. So you'll get a little insight into where PlayPosit would be located at in Canvas. But definitely, if you guys at this point in the session have questions about your individual workflow for how to launch PlayPosit in your LMS, check out these resources that are here. There are even some quick video tutorials. I'm not I'm not proposing that you simultaneously watch two videos at once, but if you want to watch these video tutorials or go and check out some of those resources to get ahead, definitely feel free to do that. Okay. Looks like Emily, your question got answered by Jason. Thank you so much, Jason. We'll keep moving. So today, this is where we're playing. This is the field we're playing in: self-paced, asynchronous, bulb content. Um, Everything else, reach out to us if you have questions or search our knowledge base. That is really, really um, it is a very large repository of all PlayPosit information, and you can search for keywords or key terms and find videos and tutorials that fit your needs. All right, so if you are like me, you're probably already thinking about, okay, where is there video content that exists within my course? So, where do I have supplemental video? Where do I have lecture content? If you're somebody that relies heavily post COVID on recording your lectures and then posting them for students, no matter where they are, in person, hybrid, to watch those videos, just start thinking about where you already have existing video content in your course. And then now, what we're going to kind of take a look at and dive more into is, what are your interaction options? So, when you're thinking about assessing students on that video content, you're going to cater the interaction building process to meet that learning outcome or that learning need. So, a couple of different ways that you can look at this interaction bank here. Um, if you are familiar with like selected response and that language, having the student have the ability to select from a bank or from a list of possible correct or incorrect answers, multiple choice, check all, poll, and maybe even fill in the blank can be configured in that way. If you are looking for something that is more manual, it's a manual process. The student is entering and having the opportunity to self-create an answer. The free response interaction, the discussion interaction, fill in the blank, those are incredible interaction options to rely on. I don't like to shortchange the annotation interactions because they are probably my favorite. Um, Anytime that you need to set a learning objective, like for example, let's go back. Like at the beginning of this bulb here, you're going to see a pause interaction full screen right here, letting the students know what is the expectation of this experience. If that language sounds familiar to you, learning objectives, learning expectations, the pause interaction is going to be great for that. Um, the full rich text editor is available to you in when you're building a pause interaction, and we're going to build one together. So you'll get to see that. So you can add hyperlinks, images, whatever you'd like. Web embed will allow you to actually, I'm going to skip ahead here just a little bit. Web embed will actually allow for you to embed a website as long as it has embeddable functionality to be included in your bulb. So a student is potentially watching video content about a concept. They're seeing your question or your guidance through the interactions, and then they're also able to maybe explore on a website right within PlayPosit. So web embed is another interaction type. And this is just, again, an example. One thing you want to make sure of when you're embedding the web embed, using the web embed interaction, though, is that you're using a website that does have embeddable qualities, because unfortunately, that's not something that we can control. The supplemental resource has to have that quality already enabled. Um, a brand new interaction type that I am getting ready to show you in just a second is not really even showcased here in this little example video, because it is brand new as of November of November of 2023. I don't even know what year it is. But it is very, very new, and it's a great way to have students be able to engage with a document or to read a syllabus. So we're going to check out the PDF interaction now. Okay, so this is an example of a PDF file within a bulb. On the left-hand side, you'll see those checks for understanding, and then the PDF that's here in the middle. So this goes for any PDFs that you use in your course. Top of mind right now is the syllabus, because we are at the beginning of a semester. So being able to embed a course syllabus or a course document within the bulb is a huge deal. Also, being able to give students the ability to download. So they're going to be able to do downloads for the documents. And then the other cool thing is students are now able to annotate on top of the PDF. So highlighting, making comments, and downloading are three really big things that a student can now do within their bulb experience on a document that is not a video, but it can support the video content that is being shared there. Okay, so PDF interactions, new and exciting. Additionally, while we're here, I thought I would just give you guys all of the brand new and shiny updates that have been going on. So PDF was released in November, also released in November of 2023, was our auto-graded free response. So this is actually going to be a new functionality in terms of grading. So like we were talking about earlier, there being manually graded interactions versus auto-graded interactions. Free response was formerly only manually graded. So a student would have to wait to see how you assess their response in order to see their overall bulb score. Also with that, if you're following me, it would prolong or pause the gradebook passback. So gradebook passback would not happen until the instructor had manually assigned points to the learner's free response score. Now you can auto grade the learner response. So this gives you the ability to assign points. And while you aren't necessarily assessing the student, you can give them credit for responding. So this is a huge This is a huge update that we were all really excited about. I was personally really excited about this one. Um, Thinking about all the ways that you could have students um, give writing samples in the free response and give them points for that is a really great way to go about that. Okay, so moving forward, a couple of high level things that I want to cover that we won't spend too much time here because I think most of these will be pretty intuitive things that I think that you will see once we hop into PlayPosit together. If you're an instructor, one of the big reasons that instructors choose PlayPosit over other tools or over just giving plain raw video files to students in their LMS is because it can be configured, the assignment can be configured to disable fast forwarding and rewinding. So what that would do is create a a mandated engagement from the student. So really almost requiring them to engage. Also, we do have an active tab player, which means this whenever they navigate away from the tab. So that means that they are going to need to not only be engaging because of possible interactions that are appearing, but also they can't have an additional tab up being distracted um, without the video pausing. You can monitor to the last watch timestamp, which means you're able to see how long they spent, you're able to see how quickly they answered their interactions, or you're able to see how thorough they were in responding. You also can see, if you allow for retakes, you can see how many times a student decided to try to retake the bulb. So that's a powerful way to understand who, when you open up those settings and those abilities, who takes advantage of that. In terms of accessibility, we do have an interactive and searchable transcript in the sidebar view. Closed captioning is available. We are screen reader compatible and we are WCAG 2.3 compliant. In terms of content digestion, the one I really want to shout out here that is my personal it was my personal saving grace when I was in the classroom, is this embedded learner notepad, which means that while a student is watching their bulb, while they are having interactions appear, they can actually take time-stamped notes right inside the designer. This is not something that you as an instructor or you as a teacher need to enable. It is actually built in. So the students are going to be able to take advantage of this as long as you share with them a resource that lets them know where it is, or they may discover it on their own. But we have a resource that's a learner experience article that can actually show them where to find their embedded learner notepad. The learner notes are one, time stamped, and two, exportable, which means that they can take their notes with them from the entire experience, or they can come back, rewatch the bulb, and click on the notes and be taken to that point in time in the bulb. All right. Now we're going to move on to something that will launch us into the final 20 minutes of our webinar, which will be actually building. We're just going to do a quick little 5-minute brainstorm of some PlayPosit easy and effective use cases. And this goes right in line with what it seems is already naturally happening in the chat. Those of you that have ideas around where PlayPosit could be useful in your classes, this is a great way. Very rarely, as an educator, do you have the opportunity to collaborate in a shared space with many different educators from different walks of education, whether it be K-12 or higher education. So please take advantage of our chat to share ideas and use cases with one another. These are just a couple that we've seen be effective, and so I thought that I'd share them with you today. Um, we really want to emphasize, I really want to emphasize that the idea behind PlayPosit is not redesigning your course. So the idea is not that you are building anything from scratch or that you are changing anything drastically. Is that you're thinking about where does video content already exist in my course? Like, for instance, this quick video showing students how to complete a math problem. um, this already exists, and maybe this example of showing how to complete something could be paired with an assessment. So here you're going to see a fill in the blank chart has been created. The student is being prompted to download a worksheet because yes, you can attach files through the rich text editor, attaching a PDF, having that document be paired with an interaction. The student is having direct instruction from the video content. They're having supplemental instruction from the PDF, and then they're having an assessment opportunity because of the fill in the blank chart that you've created. So this is an example of skills practice. Okay, going back here, an idea is also interactive video lecture. So maybe you have a video that you would like to use in place of a lecture. So you have like a supplemental video that you're wanting to use. Again, this is an example. This was for our use case library, but this is an example of how you could use that pause interaction to lay out some learning outcomes or purpose of the assignment. All right. So here you're seeing a true learning objective that was built with the pause interaction. And yes, we do have dark mode. So you can turn on dark mode on your interactions and have them appear like this if that fits your aesthetic or your look that you're going for in your course design. So this is an example of a this is an example of objectives behind this video. Key terms are being shared here. So again, taking advantage of that pause interaction to either set objectives or to give information pertaining to the content. So again, kind of like a lecture here. You're going to see that the student is going to highlight this term, go to the embedded learner notepad, and actually make a note for themselves about that key term because their instructor has built in a little hotspot showing them where to go to find the embedded learner notepad. You're also seeing what it looks like to stack interactions or have two interactions appear at the same time. That is very handy and useful. And for the most part, we're going to go ahead and skip ahead here. This is an example of different checkpoints that you can build in. Correct and incorrect highlighting is immediately shown, but not necessary. So that is default, but you actually can turn off answer highlighting. So if you're looking for like a more summative assessment option, you can definitely do that. And again, just some other examples of interactions that you could build out. Moving on, this is going to be our last use case to kind of get your brain jogging about where PlayPosit could fit into your course ideas. So I am looking at those of you who want to film or bring up those old lectures that you recorded from COVID and reuse them. Or maybe you still record your lectures or you still record your class because there are students that are out sick and you want to be able to live stream it to them or you want to be able to hold them accountable for the content. The idea with this use case is that this video would be a pre-recorded lecture. of some form. So you have your lecture video here, you have your objectives, and then what you're going to see is there are some sorry, I'm gonna pause now. There's some pointers to let students know where they can take notes like they typically would um, in an online or in an in-person environment watching a lecture. But then also you're going to see that there is an ongoing discussion prompt that the student can participate in. So you'll see here in just a moment that they will open the discussion prompt, or maybe I already skipped past it. They're going to open the discussion prompt and have the opportunity to respond throughout the lecture to their peers. So it's an ongoing discussion interaction. And I may have cut it off here. Oh, there it is. So the student had the option to participate through the discussion throughout the duration of the video, but then if they have not responded by the end, then this is an example of how it appears at the end of the video. All right. A couple of features we're going to talk about in our last 15 minutes while we're in the actual designer. My bulbs library, where we'll go first, sharing content with your colleagues or your peers, and then the purpose of what we call my interactions. So those are all going to be helpful terms to remember. All right, in moving forward, the last thing that we will do before we actually hop into the designer together is talk about the workflow. This is the workflow that I'm going to use, but again, if you are joining us from an LMS that is not Canvas, then you're going to find, or Canvas, you're going to find your resources here, showing you how to launch into PlayPosit and where to find PlayPosit, even if you haven't launched into PlayPosit for the first time. Okay, so you're going to launch through your LMS because that's going to pull from your role as an instructor at your institution or district. Then we're going to find an assignment and we're going to launch from there into our external tool kit, and we're going to find PlayPosit. We're going to go into our My Bulbs library. We're going to select a video. We're going to add interactivity. And then the last thing that we'll do is set our link, which is where we actually click the LMS icon and link the bulb to the LMS assignment. All right, so let's go ahead and we'll move pretty quickly through this part because, again, I know that we don't have everyone here who uses Canvas, but a majority of you seemed from the attendee list to use Canvas. So that's why we kind of chose this workflow today. All right, so Madison's test course, I'm going to go into my course, find your course that you would like to test within if you have a sandbox. And then we're going to navigate to an assignment. For the most part, this looks very similar across the LMS experiences, but it does, obviously, because all LMSs operate differently, it does look different. I'm going to give my assignment a name, 2024 Introductory Bulb. And then I'm going to scroll down. So this is what the student sees, this assignment name here. I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to adjust my points because PlayPosit is going to take the overall score with the added points, compare it to your Canvas or your LMS points, and we're going to create a proportionate score between the two, and that's what gets passed back to the LMS gradebook. So you do want to be sure to walk through this process here. And then we're going to find the submission type. So under submission type, you want to be sure that you have your external tool selected, and then we're going to launch that tool finder. and we're gonna look for PlayPosit. Now, something I do wanna point out here is that, I have a ton of different, I have a ton of different PlayPosits here because I am in a test environment. So, you will only have 1 PlayPosit, so please know that, you will not have to deal with that view that you just saw. Once you find your PlayPosit tool, go ahead and click on it. You're going to see this gray screen. You can either click Set Link or Enter PlayPosit. Either one will take you to the same exact place. Go ahead and click Enter. I'm going to click Enter. All right, so now that we are here, I'm going to do a couple of different things. I'm going to show you and kind of acclimate you to this view of PlayPosit. All right, so you land in your My Bulbs library. You have the ability to begin building a new bulb here, which is what we will do. But you also have the ability to go to your user profile and set some user settings. For example, if you want your visibility to be set as the same thing every time, if you would like to create bulb defaults and save yourself time, check those out. Also, you can create interaction defaults. So if you are an instructor or teacher that chooses to create consistency across your assignments and grading and scoring, this is a great place to go. Like, for example, you always want your multiple choice to be worth 3 points, and you always want to offer 2 attempts on a multiple choice interaction. You can save that, and you'll never have to curate that experience. So check out those user settings. Customer resources. This is a wonderful place for those of you that are wanting to learn more. You're wanting to ask questions. You want to come to our office hours. You want to join another webinar. You want to find your PlayPosit Academy for your individual LMS. That can be found here. I also mentioned our knowledge base. So if you want a direct link to our knowledge base, you can find that in our help articles here as well. Okay, so that's the customer resource page. Pre-made bulbs are bulbs that you can look through at your institution and at all of PlayPosit's and repository and select and copy. Playlist will appear if you have that application we talked about. Classes will be where your LMS classes that PlayPosit's linked automatically will appear here. Folders is an organizational feature that exists, but we're going to go ahead and begin building an all new bulb here within our bulb library. So I'm going to go ahead and add a new bulb. And while this part is very, very uh, it's very personal. It is our designer is very intuitive. So that's where we are now. The first step is adding a video source. I'm going to go ahead and drop in a video source that I I'm going to find. I actually may decide, well, here. I'm going to drop in a video link. So I had a direct link from YouTube, but I could search YouTube. I could eventually find my my video that I'm looking for. We did talk about a couple of things. One, adjusting the title. So here I may adjust my title. I may upload captions. We support VTT or SRT files, but you also can view the available YouTube captions if they're auto-generated and just go ahead and fetch them. And then lastly, you can trim and crop. So we talked about this. This video is 3 minutes. I'm going to leave it be. But let's say that there was a part in here that was inappropriate or no longer accurate. I could create an internal crop and actually remove that part of the video. I'm done now getting my video source set up, and that is truly the hardest part. Now you get to create whatever type of learning object that you're looking to assign to your students. So here is the timeline of the video. So you'll see that you can drag your scrub bar all along that timeline. But I'm going to go ahead and add an interaction at 0, 0. And I'm going to do that by clicking add an interaction. So this is our interaction bank that you already had a glimpse of. Um, if you choose an interaction, like let's say I choose pause, and then I start building out my interaction, but I realize I actually want this to be a discussion interaction, I can change that at any time. I can change that format. It will automatically change the format at any given time. I'm going to go back to pause, however, and I am going to add in some. I'm going to add in some information that I want my students to read before actually beginning. So here's the title. Here's some information about Derek Sivers that you can read. Here is some details about what the bulb is going to consist of. I can choose my placement. So with any PlayPosit interaction, no matter if it's multiple choice, PDF, pause, you get to choose where it gets placed. So just hover over this placement screen here, and you will see that that will actually give you a preview. So you can choose small, large, half the screen, right half, or you can leave it to the default, which will be the left-hand sidebar. One of the reasons I don't stress too much about the time, choosing the perfect time, you can actually just build all of your interactions and then drag them and drop them in the right places, is because the last step here is choosing the timing. So you could actually, I'm going to turn the volume down so I don't like blow us all out of here with the um, loud booming voice, but I could play my video, wait until it gets to just the right time, pause the video, and I can hover over this timestamp in the left hand sidebar, and I can come to this advanced button here, and I can actually, well, I could even at the start, if that's where I wanted it to appear for the first time, I could drop in that super precise time that doesn't cut off in between two words. So now I have, if you've been building along with me, now I have my very first interaction. It's a pause interaction. But let's say I wanna keep building. I'm gonna drag a little further down, and I'm gonna click add another interaction. This time I want students to participate in a discussion interaction. I want students to discuss, and I want to show you the discussion interaction so that I can show you two things. One is this advanced settings. So you actually can have learners automatically earn full points for just submitting. So how do you control the points? Well, um, I already dropped in my sorry, my interaction. I already dropped in my discussion prompt. I go to the three dots here, and I can automatically award 5 points for participating, or I can automatically award 10 points for participating. So the student submits, and then they automatically are awarded those points. If you deselect this, it's going to be manually graded by you, the instructor. Another cool setting that I like is hide discussion posts until learner contributes in the discussion interaction. This means that learners will have to submit their own unique response before they are able to see their peers. So these two are used pretty heavily in combination together, and they're very powerful. Again, choose a placement that feels good for you in your video content. And then lastly, timing. You could make this a durational, start at this time point and end at this time point if you wanted, like we saw in that example. For sake of time, I'm just going to go ahead and do what you should always do if you are getting ready to link a bulb, which is review. So you can preview your bulb, you can adjust some playback options like allowing learners to retake the bulb a set number of times upon completion. Um, and once you have that ready, you can add tags for organization. You can go ahead and click Save Changes. So now I can see that my bulb is in my bulb library and I'm back in that Canvas or LMS view, and I'm just going to hover over that LMS icon. So that's going to give me the ability to set the link. That means that it's going to link in as a self-paced bulb, and students will then be able to, once I've saved and I publish to my course, students are going to be able to take the bulb and have their grades passed back to the LMS gradebook. This is just a sample of what that looks like in student view. The student sees that play button and can begin their bulb. But again, for the instructor, once you have linked in that bulb, your role now becomes monitor. So you get to monitor the data as the students walk through that experience. All right, since it is looking to be about 1 minute over here, over our 1 hour webinar mark, I am going to go ahead and skip a couple of things that you can actually find in your interactive handout, so no worries. But this is an example and is linked, a video that is linked of what you will see when you choose to monitor your bulb in your LMS. So when clicking monitor, you're going to see that your students' scores, their status, and their responses to the individual interactions will appear in a singular and very, very helpful frame there that can be exported for your data needs. All right. I want to thank you all so, so much. I know that Jason has kind of covered some of these additional go-to resources in the chat, but please check out this customer resource page that is in every single person's PlayPosit account at the very bottom. Also, check out linked in your resource guide is our YouTube channel. So please click that YouTube channel. Come to our office hours. Check out your PlayPosit Academy tutorial for your individual LMS. And don't forget that we do have quite a few webinars coming up here in the next few weeks, and so we hope that you will join us for our upcoming webinars. Our next webinar will take place on January the 18th. It is our PlayPosit audio response system our audio response system session called Broadcast. If you'd like to register, I'm going to go ahead and paste that in the chat. And you can register for that session right there. Darlene, I see your question. How do we set up an account? So you won't need to create an account. And actually, if you are a part of a district or institution that has a PlayPosit license, you're going to be able to launch from there, and it will keep you from having to actually create an account. You won't want to do that because when you create an account, it'll be a free account, but you'll want to use that institutional launch from your LMS so that it's tied to your institutional email and then it's tied to your institutional license. So, Darlene, what is your institution or district's LMS? And then we can start there. Your learning management system. So maybe it's Blackboard or Canvas, D2L, Google Classroom, Moodle, Sakai, Schoology. Do any of those ring a bell? Also, you can let us know what institution or district you're joining us from, and we can actually look it up for you. Canvas. Okay, yeah. So, Darlene, you will want to walk through that same exact process that I just showed. So, you will want to go to maybe a sandbox or a real course. That's okay. And you're going to go to create an assignment. You're going to use this to launch into PlayPosit regardless. And actually, just to cut down on time, I'm going to send you this quick tutorial on how to launch from Canvas right in the chat. So please check that YouTube video out there. That'll help you as you're launching from Canvas. I want to thank you all so much for your time today. Thank you for taking the time to join. I hope that this was a great introduction of what PlayPosit is, when and how you might use it, and even a couple of ideas of what you can do once you start getting inside of PlayPosit and finding out what you're looking to do with our tool. Um, Thank you so much for joining. Happy New Year, everyone. Um, have a lovely Wednesday, and please reach out to us if you have any questions at all, and if you're looking for any additional support. If you're joining from any of the institutions, FIU, GSU, UAB School of Nursing, or UAB in general, please reach out to me, Madison at wevideo.com. And I'm happy to support you as you guys fall within my um, portfolio. But even if you don't, I'll get you to the right person. So have a wonderful afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much, and have a lovely rest of your week.